Reckoning at Vulture's Gulch. The echo of the gunshot reverberated through the desolate mine, its sharp crack hanging in the air like a question mark. The dust settled, revealing Wyatt, his face etched with the weight of his decision. Before him lay Silas, a pool of blood spreading around him, his reign of terror finally at an end. Wyatt holstered his silent preacher, the weight of its judgment heavy in his hand. He had faced his demons, stared into the abyss of vengeance, and somehow managed to pull back from the brink. Justice had been served, but at what cost? He emerged from the mine into the harsh desert sunlight, the blood-red sky mirroring the turmoil within his soul. Back in Vulture's Gulch, the news of Silas' death spread like wildfire. The townsfolk, long oppressed under his iron fist, emerged from their homes, their faces a mixture of disbelief and cautious hope. Eloise, the ever-watchful saloon keeper, poured a glass of whiskey, her hand shaking slightly. "Well, I'll be damned," she muttered, a flicker of admiration in her eyes. "Iron Hand McGraw, you sure stirred up a hornet's nest, but you did what no one else dared." Jeb, Silas' former right-hand man, stood in the shadows, his guilt a heavy burden. He had witnessed the final showdown, seen the conflict in Wyatt's eyes. Now, with Silas gone, he was left to grapple with the consequences of his own choices. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the dusty town, Wyatt found himself standing before the graves of his family. He knelt, the rough earth cool beneath his fingertips. The pain was still raw, a gaping wound that refused to heal. But there was also a sense of closure, a finality to the years of torment. "I did it for you," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "I hope you can finally rest in peace." In the days that followed, Vulture's Gulch began to stir from its slumber. The townsfolk, no longer living in fear, started to rebuild their lives. The saloon, once a den of despair, became a place of cautious celebration. Eloise, with her sharp wit and unwavering spirit, became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could flicker. Jeb, haunted by his past, sought redemption. He offered his services to the town, his carpentry skills proving invaluable in the reconstruction efforts. It was a slow process, but he was determined to make amends, one nail at a time. Wyatt, his mission complete, found himself at a crossroads. The thirst for vengeance had been quenched, but the emptiness remained. He was a man out of time, a gunslinger in a world that was slowly leaving violence behind. One evening, as the desert wind whispered through the town, Eloise found him sitting on the porch of the saloon, staring out at the vast expanse. "You gonna stay?" she asked, her voice soft. Wyatt looked at her, his eyes reflecting the countless sunsets he had witnessed. "I don't know," he replied, his voice heavy with uncertainty. "This town ain't got much left for a man like me." Eloise leaned against the railing, her gaze steady. "Maybe not," she said, "but maybe you've got something left for this town." Wyatt considered her words, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Perhaps there was still a purpose for him here, a chance to help rebuild what had been broken. Perhaps he could find a way to use his skills, not for vengeance, but for protection. In the end, Wyatt stayed. He became a quiet guardian, his presence a reassurance to the townsfolk. He taught the young men how to shoot, not to kill, but to defend. He helped settle disputes, his reputation as a man of justice preceding him. Vulture's Gulch, once a symbol of despair, slowly transformed into a beacon of hope. The desert wind still carried whispers of the past, but now they were mingled with the sounds of laughter and the promise of a new beginning. And Wyatt, the gunslinger who had come seeking vengeance, found a different kind of peace. He had faced his demons, made his choices, and emerged, not unscathed, but stronger. He was a reminder that even in the harshest of landscapes, the human spirit could endure, and that sometimes, the greatest act of courage was not to pull the trigger, but to holster the gun. If you are enjoying adventures in the Old West, hit the subscribe button for future posts.